Jake Golday, the linebacker from Cincinnati. Phenomenal chin-neck ratio for a linebacker. He took this picture and he was just like, yep. He purposely scheduled shoulder day right before the picture. He's probably got Gymshark gym shorts underneath the suit and tie because this guy just came from shrugging 405 15 times. Welcome to the opening bell of the NFL Stock Exchange podcast. I'm Trevor Sikkema. That's Connor Rogers joining you on the day before Connor actually gets to play golf for the first time in 3 weeks, having what feels like his first day off, which is lovely. Oh, I just noticed my camera froze as we started the show. You love to see that too. We're off and running, folks.
Classic.
This is week two, the Stock Watch. We're talking everything. Of course, we're going to start with the show, talking about a little bit of quarterback carousel, talk about some of the quarterbacks that stood out in college football, some stock up, some stock down, just some reality of some of the quarterbacks, because, of course, we know that you guys want to talk about that. We'll each bring 3 players to the table in our stock market section of the show where, look, early part of the season, a lot of it's more stock up than necessarily stock down. So we'll talk some stock up, guys. We'll bring a new name to the table that we didn't talk about during summer scouting, that we will talk about as a prospect here for the 2026 NFL Draft. And then, of course, we will go into the replies as well. If you guys aren't following us on Twitter, you got to do so, because that's how you get into the show. We ask you guys every week, who stood out to you guys? Who we're going to shout out? And so we'll get to some of the addicts that are making these suggestions on some players that are standing out as well. Connor, how you doing, my friend?
I'm good, man. Everything. We're in the whirlwind now. You and I were joking because you and I are our key day to breathe is kind of Thursday, and then the new week starts all over again Friday. You're getting ready to preview college football and do shows Saturday, NFL Sunday, and then this whirlwind happens. So I've been trying to watch as much film as I can. Especially, I really like the format of this show. It has forced me in a good way to keep up with the quarterbacks on a week-by-week basis. I think in the past, I would like to watch them in chunks. And you watch college games, but then it's like, okay, it's October. Let me watch 3 games of film of Drew Allar or whoever it is. Or, with this, I feel like I am kind of watching the progression of their season step by step, bit by bit. And I'm curious how that kind of, it's not going to change my evaluation. I think both ways work get you to the same end goal. Right. But it can... Riding a week-by-week or even month-by-month roller coaster of a college quarterback is a very interesting exercise, Trevor. We'll have some great combos because of it.
It's true. This guy's cheeks. Yeah, now he's the goat.
We're so back, it's over. We're so back, it's over. It's
the meme. Yeah. That is the meme. That is college quarterbacks to a T. There's no question about it. But I do agree with you, especially going as deep as we did on summer scouting. It is nice to have all those games on a bunch of those quarterbacks specifically, and now we get to follow them a little bit when it comes to, hey, what are the things that we thought they did well last year? What do we want to see from them this year? Are we seeing a lot from them? Whatever it is. So expanding sort of that stock market, stock watch segment of the show to make sure that we're covering quarterbacks as well is cool. I forgot to mention this on last week's show because it was his first one as our producer, but I have to give a warm welcome on this side of the recording to Tyler Cook, who is our new producer here at the NFL Stock Exchange show. And I am proud to let everybody know that he is of the people, that he is an addict. He is one of many, many, many people who apply for this show, but he was the very first person to apply when we announced that Ryan was going to be going to a different show at Greener Pastures, RIP. He's not dead. We're just kidding, of course. But Tyler was the first one to jump on it and be like, I love this show. I've been listening for the last couple of years. I am an addict through and through. And obviously he's somebody who's done a lot of production stuff, working on other podcasts, all that kinds of stuff. So please, everybody, all of the addicts out there, send in the comments your love and your welcome to Tyler, who is going to be producing this show, helping us go to new heights. So hello, Tyler. Now, officially, we're announcing that on the show. We're very, very excited about him joining us in this full-time capacity, and we're super excited that he is from the people as well.
I echo all of that. We can't wait to have him on board. Great energy from our new producer, Tyler, and it is fun to have somebody that is a part of the Addicts Nation, the Addicts people, really behind the show. So I think everybody will the show everybody has hopefully grown to know and love thanks to Ryan's fine work behind it. Tyler is definitely ready to carry that torch.
So anytime that you see a great graphic or a cold open or whatever it is, I'm just saying right now, I want to see in the comments, he cooked, but Kyler's last name is Cook, so I want COOK''D. Anytime you see a great graphic or a cold open or whatever, well, I gotta get some he cooked in the comments. That's what I want to see moving forward. Okay, let's dig into this. Let's get to the quarterbacks right away because you have a very exciting one. You have a quarterback who, I was talking to draft industry legend himself, Mike Renner, last weekend as well, and we were just chatting about, man, it doesn't feel like through 2 weeks we have seen that quarterback who can really take that leap up to the first round, who we weren't really considering moving or in the summer. But if anybody, John Mateer looks pretty damn good. So if anybody's working their way up to that status and that title, it feels like it's John Mateer. And you wanted to highlight his game versus the Michigan Wolverines. So tell me about Mateer. Tell the good people about how he played against Michigan.
Obviously, this is a huge win that kind of puts you on the map. Mateer, there's big expectations when you watch everything he was able to do at Washington State as a thrower, as a runner, big-time throws, out of structure plays. But you always wonder, would they step up in competition and a step up in expectations, how that's going to look? And yes, it is early in the season, and yes, Mateer is a little bit of a wild man at times. He did have 2 turnover-worthy plays in this game. He is someone to me, Trevor, that because of the lightning quick release, a little bit of an unorthodox style at times, he gets a little sidearm happy, but he can attack under pressure and he can evade pressure and he can push the ball down the field. And I thought the big-time throws in this game that he made were not only gutsy, but pretty special, quite frankly. Pretty special. I mean, some of the throws that he can really fire down the sideline into tight windows, over defenders, right, like putting it on the correct shoulder and side. Mateer is somebody that the skill set and just the actual arm talent, I know people are tired of that word, but he has arm talent. This is pretty unique arm talent as well for me. I love watching this guy play, and he's got a little bit of that throwback feeling you get that when you watched Baker Mayfield in this uniform, it feels like you can win any game. And yes, we're only through the very short portion of the season, but when you beat Michigan, Mateer is already kind of given Oklahoma fans and his team believes this too, that feeling of like, damn, we could beat anybody because this guy can make any play.
87.9 passing grade under pressure against Michigan, which I think was really important. And going back to watch his film as well, you know what I loved about him? You talk about, we try not to helmet scout, obviously, with the Baker Mayfield, Oklahoma connections, but the way that he plays, just that mentality, is in that similar sort of bucket and tier of how it feels like Baker Mayfield approached the game. Now, Baker's a psycho in the best way, so he's like the top of whatever that tier is. But I'll tell you this, that first drive that Oklahoma had, he faced a couple of third downs, and I believe it was the second third down that he faced. It was a 3rd and 9. He gets pressured from a blitz that's up the middle, and the offensive line doesn't pick it up well. Now, there are a lot of blitzers to the right side, but they're just not able to pick it up, and one guy gets completely free. Mateer drops back from a shotgun, lets it go, and one, it's a beautiful pass. So I think it's Deion Burks at the sideline, and it is just a beautiful in-the-bucket throw. But you know what I love the most about that play is that he gets hit right around the chest. You see this pass rusher put his shoulder and his arm just straight into Mateer's chest as he is getting rid of this ball. And you know how a lot of quarterbacks do this? Look, I'm not necessarily blaming him for it. 15 yards is 15 yards. You're trying to win a football game. Some of them embellish a little bit. They fly back. They're like, oh, I just got shot. Mateer gets hit in the chest, and he just has he's got a handful of steps where he steps back. He's not only did he fall, he didn't fall and act and embellish on it. He didn't want to give this defender the satisfaction to know that he brought him down. So Mateer took a couple of stumbles back, and he stood up.
Great call out.
And that is one of those X factor, you have to pay attention to it kind of things where it's like, I love that shit. I love that from a quarterback in a position where you see guys flop and embellish and all this all the time. He's like, no. You don't get the satisfaction of bringing me down. And that's a running back mentality that I feel like he's bringing to just how he plays quarterback, which I just love from Matier.
No, it's a great call out. DNA is huge right now, and you can learn a lot about players in big games. And the way the college football schedule works, you don't get a ton of these the first couple weeks of the season. So the fact that Matier had the opportunity at home to take on Michigan, who has a good defense, has returning talent, and he is somebody that just doesn't look afraid of the bright lights at all. No. And I think that is really evident when you watch him play. And it has clearly galvanized this program. They are in a brutal spot because of how much talent there is in that conference. And I think the confidence there is very, very high right now. And I think a large part of it is because of him as their leader. So you know how high I was on Matier this summer. I didn't know if we would accelerate this quickly. He's now the front runner for the Heisman, and we have a long way to go to call that out. And it's, all the odds are pretty long right now. I think he is still at plus 800. So it's a pretty wide open race. But to open that conversation of if there's a guy that you watch the tape and saw, hey, this looks like a day 2 guy based off of traits over summer, but going to a new program and getting a bigger stage can play himself into round 1. Yeah, the conversation has officially opened up for John Matier.
Yep, I agree with you.
I think of the playbook you can run with him too. It just feels like so many concepts are open because
he throws middle of the field very confidently.
Because of the throws he can make combined with his athleticism. Mm-hmm. He's not the biggest guy, but I mean, obviously that hasn't stopped us in quarterback prospect evaluation before.
Right.
I don't think he's slender either. I think he's just not that tall.
No, I just think that he's smaller, like in general, like all of his measurables.
Well, think of this class. Like Drew Allan, Lenora Sellers. You have like these giants
you do.
In this class. Yeah, obviously, Klubnik's not very big. Even Nussmeier's not very big. But
yeah, you do have a couple of guys that when we have this conversation, it's going to be, and I know we'll talk about Allar here in a second, but somebody in the NFL might just be like, just give me the big dude. And that's what a lot of teams sort of lean on. But Matier's funny, man. The first I think it was the first completion he had. He puts his hips so much into throws. It's like that Dak warm up clip where he's just like firing his hips like that is like Matier how Matier actually throws the football. Hey, you know what? People get sick of the golf talk on this show. What do you got to do to put power in a golf swing?
Carry your hips through.
Got to carry your hips through. All Matier's doing, just playing a little golf out there. That's all he's doing.
Athlete. He's an athlete. He's the type of guy that when you watch him play quarterback, you look at and go, oh, this would be the kid you grew up with that is just great at ping pong.
Yes.
And
yes.
You know what I mean? Like everything comes very natural to this guy.
I mean, I'll smoke his ass in ping pong if he ever wants to get this work, but
you are quietly a master of odd games. Like, aren't you really good at cornhole?
Correct. Yes.
You and apparently your father-in-law were in a league.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh,
well,
man.
We're not in an official league, but we did a tournament. We did a tournament a couple of weeks ago, and we smoked the first 2 people that we went up against, and then in the semifinal, we went up against someone who I can only describe as is basically like a pro cornholer.
Yeah, never missed.
Because they quite literally had it was like she had like 24 total throws, and I think 21 of them went in the hole.
Was she sponsored?
Yeah, I said to her, I was like, "Are you like? Do you play in legit tournaments?" And she's like, "No." And I was like, "Well, you need to."
Liar. Yeah.
She's saying, no. I'm getting
making a mistake.
Yeah, I'm getting robbed. They're going to hear from my lawyer.
You were scammed.
We were bamboozled.
Sandbagger.
And that's who I am as a competitor as well. I either win or you'll hear from my lawyer.
Or it wasn't my fault.
Not only is it not my fault, you'll hear from my legal team.
Oh my God.
Which is simply my old roommate that I used to live with in Tampa.
My lawyer. Literally the guy that I used to share room and board with.
The guy who played Fortnite until 3 a.m. the entire time that we lived together.
Isn't it funny the things you realize when you you grow up, when you're a kid, like you think people, like when you hear someone say that when you're a kid, you're like, damn, they're a big dog. They got a lawyer. And then by the time you're 27, somebody you associated with in your life has a law degree.
Has a law degree.
And that's your lawyer.
Yes.
That's your lawyer. You're
100%.
like, oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's there's no such thing as actual grown-ups, dude. Everybody's just trying to figure it out.
Phenomenal take. Okay, I'm going to talk about Luke Altmyer next, your boy, Illinois quarterback Luke Altmyer.
Yeah.
I mean, really impressive game when I watched it live against Duke. 76.5 passing grade. They ended up getting the big win in this one. He was 22 of 31, almost 300 yards passing, 296 yards passing. And when I was watching it live, I'm not going to lie, I watched this and I was like, holy cow, this is a phenomenal game from Luke Altmyer.
I agree.
Go back and watch the tape. He had some great throws. He did. But it was still, I would say, the overall umbrella deficiencies that I talked about with him as a prospect when we were doing summer scouting were still there a little bit. Just the overall stature of him. He's a little bit smaller of a quarterback. He's about 6'2", 200 pounds. So he's just a little bit smaller, like we talked about with Batir. He doesn't have the arm strength to be able to be late on throws.
Yeah.
And so there were a couple that he was late and he's not able to make up for it, or he's off target if he's trying to put a little bit more juice into it. Now, he didn't have any big time throws that we had in this game.
Right.
I can understand why we didn't give it to him because it was crazy, but the one where he was avoiding a bunch of pressure and then he just sort of looks to his right and he's like, all right, and then he just chucks it to the front pylon and the guy scores a touchdown. It's like, okay, sure, that was a 10-yard throw, but that's kind of a big time throw when you think of the full context for it. So I felt like there could have been an argument for maybe that one to be it. And he's just somebody who very clearly the offense believes in. They have a lot of confidence as him there. And so I kind of wanted to look at him and give him credit for some of the good things that he did in this game. But also, it felt like he lit the world on fire on this one, and there were still some misses and some deficiency on its tape when it comes to an NFL perspective. Because you guys got to remember this too. I know we got a lot of addicts who are more college football fans than NFL fans. When we talk about how much we like or don't like a quarterback, it's not really from a college perspective.
No, not at all.
It's more of what we think they could be at a pro level. And so hat tip to Altmyer getting the big win in college and all that, but I still saw some deficiencies from him just with overall arm talent and some still accuracy issues that he had even in a game that was really good for him. So
it's funny that you brought him up in that context because I was watching this game as well at work on Saturday. Illinois was actually my long shot play for the playoff on a segment we did. They were plus 500.
There you go.
And I was like, Illinois really has a shot this year if you're going to play a long shot. But besides all of that, I wanted to see Duke has plenty of talent. So I thought this game could have been closer than it was. And credit to Illinois for kind of really running away in the fourth quarter. But when I was watching the game, I had the same thought. I was like, damn, I'm going to do my breakdown this week for the Big Ten is going to be on Luke Altmyer. And then I watched the tape and I agree with you. Like, he played well, but the team really, really played well. Where there wasn't a ton of standout plays yet, where I actually ended up going with Deny Dennis Sutton, who's been really good for Penn State through the first 2 weeks against, some lower level competition, but still. But yeah, it's good to see Altmyer just have command and comfort at this stage of his college career.
All right, who you got next?
So I will go to Penn State here and Drew Allan.
Oh yeah, we got to talk about Drew Allan.
This was a weird game. So Penn State opens up with Nevada week 1. Everything kind of goes basically how you'd expect it to. FIU in week 2. They win, as they should. Watching every drop back of his in this game, I didn't love this film, honestly.
You shouldn't. 59.4 passing grade in this one. You shouldn't.
Yeah, it was like turning back the clock to 2 years ago with Drew Allar, where you go, oh, he didn't have any turnover-worthy plays. That's good. Oh, he didn't have any big-time throws. Okay. But then you really watch the tape, and his average depth of target was still 9.1. But you watch the tape, the quick game was a mess. And I thought we were past this. I saw a lot of this 2 years ago where I'm like, he misses throws where he does not look comfortable sometimes, and it's very bizarre, but maybe he's young. And then last year, I thought he started to grow out of that. He did resort to that, like against Ohio State in some bigger games, but the larger sample size felt like that was behind. And then this year, against FIU in week 2, you think it's just going to be the laser show. And, I mean, Trevor screens, basic outlet throws. He went back to, I always say, sometimes it looks like he's throwing a shot put. It's just uncomfortable out of the hand. And I can't figure out, is his base off? Either way, he's missing guys. He's missing throws. And this game, hopefully, is just a one-off. But for a game that was, a game that nobody, like an afterthought. I guarantee there'll be people that study Drew Allar and they don't even really think necessarily to watch this game. If you're going to only watch 4 or 5 on the season, whatever it may be.
That's a good point.
They win 34-0. He's 19 of 33. The misses are alarming to me. There's too many times, Trevor, where Allar still doesn't look like a natural throwing the ball. And it's perplexing.
Yeah, I agree. The easy stuff once again looked hard for him in this game. And I agree. I thought he was a lot better at it last year. He wasn't perfect, but he looked like he was getting better. It looked like it was a thing of the past. But this was an unfortunate throwback type of a game for him to that 2023 season when we really were starting to talk about him as a legit NFL prospect. And, you had mentioned the quick game stuff, so I had looked this up. On passes where it was a time to throw of 2 seconds or less. So like true quick game. We're getting the ball, we're throwing a screen, we're throwing a quick slant, like whatever it is. 59.1 passing grade in the quick game.
I love that you found that because that's my eyes matching the data. To a T. Like I wrote, for full context, I don't know if we explained this yet. Trevor and I have a working doc, which is very helpful. We don't do this in summer scouting because we like the element of surprise. During the season, we have a working doc where we're putting in the players we're going to talk about. We put in some notes.
We're also trying to be nice to Tyler so he's not editing for 15 hours trying to decipher what we're talking about in the show.
Yes, it helps our new producer make it not easy, but easier. But one of the things I wrote down was like, why does the quick game look just off all the time? And then you found that number where it's like, well, it was, quite frankly.
Yeah, and that's unfortunate for Allar because I think that was part of last year that made me so hesitant to be all in on him, is how much he really struggled with the easy stuff back in 2023. And because he struggled with the easy stuff, I was like, dude, I don't know if I'm ever going to be a Drew Allar guy. I don't know if I'm ever going to be in on it. And he had some games last year where he looked great. He looked fantastic at it. And the easy stuff was looking easy for him. And you would have liked to see this be a game where, it was an inferior opponent that, of course, like they beat on the scoreboard and it was fine, but you would have liked to see him have a little bit more control for a guy that
control is a really good word.
Has those NFL abilities. Okay, we've got to talk about Devin Dampier, the quarterback for Utah. We have gotten a couple of tweets about this guy because he's a lot of fun. He played at New Mexico before he played at Utah. He was at New Mexico for the last 2 years. He started 13 games for him. He is listed at 5. Well, he's listed at, I think, 6'1" in his recruiting profile.
Okay.
I think New Mexico has him listed at 6 foot, and Utah has him listed at 5'11".
What's going on here?
So he's getting shorter.
Somebody want to explain this one to me? I remember this happened to my grandma when I was growing up, but not college quarterbacks.
Yeah, the spine is shrinking. He's actually an old man trying to play quarterback. No, but enough about Brandon Weeden.
Oh, God.
So
that's worse than my Lazard stab the other day.
No, it's Brandon Weeden's old.
God, he wasn't 45.
He was 29, wasn't he? What was he when he got drafted?
I think he was a 28-year-old prospect.
I think he's 28. 28 is what it was.
Crazy.
Might as well have been 100.
Yeah, you're done.
28.
Once you hit 28, it's over.
Hey, shout out NFL quarterback Brandon Weeden, of course. So he was at New Mexico for 2 years. He was a 3-star quarterback prospect. I don't think he played a ton his first year when he was at New Mexico, but last year he threw for over 2,700 yards and he rushed for over 1,100 yards. So like true dual threat type of player.
That's John Mateer level stuff.
Yeah. And he ends up transferring over to Utah. So this is his first year starting in the program, and he's a lot of fun. They played UCLA in the first game, and they played Cal Poly in the second game. Not the best defenses, but still, 81.2 overall offensive grade through 2 games, 74.8 passing grade, 74.9 rushing grade. Time to throw right around 3, 2.98. He's only got one big time throw, 0 turnover worthy plays, but he's sort of that they're leaning into that dual threat ability with him. The fun parts of him, very backyard play style. He's very much okay, I'm going to hike the ball. I'm going to look towards my first progression. If it's not there, I know how much of a playmaker I am with my legs. He's the kind of guy who has that little never say die type of mentality. If he scrambles to the left and there's a defensive end there to cut him off, he's not just going to throw the ball away. He's going to go, well, okay. And he's going to turn around and he's going to immediately try to go to the other side of the field to see if he can make something happen. So he's got that backyard play style to him, which is a lot of fun to watch. He is shorter in height, and because of that, I noticed that he has a difficult time seeing over the offensive line into the middle of the field. A lot of what he does is to the sidelines. It's deeper down the field, and I will say this too. Despite being smaller in stature and not having the best arm, he likes to go big game hunting. They like to run a vertical passing offense with him. He likes to look for the biggest play. He wants to make the biggest play. He wants to lay up the scoreboard. The issue is that where that's a good and where that's exciting, when you talk about him from an NFL perspective, there's not really a check down component to his game at all whatsoever. There's not really a, hey, you've just got to take this 7-yard throw and live to fight another down. He is constantly looking towards like 15, 20, 25-yard throws and beyond. That's what he's looking for at all times. I think he's a decent athlete. I don't think he's a difference-making athlete. I think he's somebody who's just sort of a natural as a runner, but he doesn't have this like crazy speed to him. He's got a little bit of a stockier build. He's 5'11", but he's like 210 pounds, so he can take some of the punishment and some of the hits. So you can run some QB power stuff with him. You can run some RPO offense stuff with him, but I just think that he's kind of lacking for the NFL game when it comes to the physical traits. And he's just a true junior. This is only his 3rd year in college ball. So I think he's at least coming back for another year. But people have already, just because of how fun he is as a player, have sort of tweeted at us. And so getting eyes on him, I think he is very much a fun college football player right now. I wouldn't really consider him an NFL prospect at this point in time.
I'm glad you went through his tape, because this is an offense that the good news for him is every NFL evaluator will be watching a ton of this offense because of the offensive line play they have. So that's a good opportunity for him as well. But it sounds like he is somebody that more likely than not, Trevor, will not be in this class.
Yes,
by the way you described him.
That is the way that I would be leaning. Do you have a third quarterback? Because I have a third quarterback.
I'm excited to hear it when I saw yours to kind of comment on it, because this has maybe been one of the most fun stories in all of college football so far.
USF
fun for some of us.
Yeah.
I actually really didn't mean that. So much fun.
Boy, do I love my alma mater, let me tell you. Orange and blue, baby.
Oh, no.
In all kinds of weather, and right now it's a Category 5 hurricane combined with a tornado and a blizzard somehow. Go Gators. Okay, so all that to say, USF's football program rules.
It's impressive.
I think that... How do you say his last name? Golish? I think is how you say his last name.
Yeah.
Alex Golish?
Yeah.
He's a phenomenal football coach. He really is.
Yeah, it's amazing how they do it, right? When you think of their resources.
I hope he stays at USF just as somebody who grew up just south of Tampa. I got a lot of friends who are USF fans. And to be honest with you, like, if Florida's going to lose to anybody, like, all right, lose to USF. It's like, I really think it's cool that football program that at one point in time, like early 2000s, was building something special. At one point, God, what was it? That 2007 year? Where they were number 2 in the country when they had, wasn't that the Jason Pierre-Paul years?
Yeah.
Wasn't that the Matt Grothy years?
They had Pierre-Paul.
Jim Leavitt was the head coach.
Do you remember George Selvey?
Of course I remember George Selvey, yes.
George Selvey was a monster in college.
Yes.
He ended up being a very late day 3 pick that, didn't have a crazy NFL career. But George Selvey back in the day, that team was so awesome to watch as a kid.
It was a lot of fun. So all that to say, like, I'm super happy for USF. Alex Golish is building the hell of a football program down there. We have to talk about their quarterback, Byrum Brown, because he was draft eligible last year, and a lot of people were talking about him because he is massive. Where's the official measurements for this strapping young lad? Where are we? Byrum Byrum Brown, 6'3", 235 pounds. I mean, he is physically gifted for the quarterback position, even at an NFL standard. And when you watch him back there, like he looks huge. He's got a massive arm. He's so difficult to bring down when guys get their arms on him. And so he's a fun quarterback. He's got that dual threat rushing ability to him. I mean, it was a major reason why they were able to score points at the end of the first half for Florida and why they were able to win that game in Gainesville is because of his dual threat ability. Now that I've said the positives about him, as an NFL prospect, the consistencies are still just not there for him. For as much as it was an incredible win, and you'll obviously take it, 48.6 passing grade against Florida, 22 for 35 passing, 234 passing yards. A lot of those yards did come on a blown assignment from Florida that I think led to like a 70-yard run and catch that was pretty easy for them. 64% adjusted completion percentage. He had one big-time throw, which I think was that one down the sideline. But I mentioned that it involved a little bit of a blown coverage from Florida. And then he had a turnover-worthy play as well. For the arm strength, he still just had a 6.6 average depth of target, 6.6 yards per attempt averages. And the issues that I have with him, Connor, is, well, actually, there's three big issues that I think are really holding him back right now. One is the elongated throwing motion. I mean, it takes him way too long to get the ball out of his hands. He's got the ball here. He actually has the ball, I think, held at a pretty good position when it comes to when he is scanning the field. But when he goes to throw it, it is a full looping motion. And because of that, when pressure comes around, it's often like a split second between when it's getting out of his hand and when pressure's hitting him. And he's got to get a much more compact throwing motion, which I think that he can because he's got the arm talent to do it. I also think that he has a really difficult time throwing the changeup, right? Putting touch on passes that are shorter, anything behind the line of scrimmage or within, I'll say, 5 yards. Anything that doesn't involve him throwing a fastball, if he's got to take RPMs off of it, the accuracy can be all over the place. So he's got to be able to throw a touch better. And then even though the pressure to sack ratio wasn't too bad against Florida, he has, let me see, a 26.3 pressure to sack ratio this season. That's like 235th out of all FBS quarterbacks that have played this year. I mean, he's so difficult to sack, and yet he's still letting defenses convert pressure to sacks too often because he's just not reading or feeling things correctly. So he's got to be able to manage the pocket better. He has to throw with touch better. And we got to fix that throwing motion. It's got to be more compact for him to get the ball out a little bit quicker as we are talking about him as a polished NFL quarterback that you take a chance on drafting.
Yeah, it's really well said. He is fun to watch as though, like you said, just as a pure college player. But
100%, yeah.
There were plenty of times in this game, that little swing pass where I think it was the running back made like 2 tacklers miss in one move and got upfield at the end of the game was an unbelievable play where it's great you get the passing yards on it, but it was just one of those after catch like runs that was pretty special. So, but yeah, this USF team is understandably the talk of town right now.
Yeah, I actually thought that play sucked.
I was sitting there, I was like, he's dead. There's 2 guys right on him as soon as he catches the ball, and there he is, stampeding down the sideline, and Trevor's dreams are being snatched.
Go Gators. I'm sure things will go great in LSU this weekend. I'm sure that'll be
they're not
great.
Talented.
No. Not a good football team. Definitely don't have potential number 1 overall pick Garrett Nussmeier at quarterback. We're gonna move on here. This PFF betting segment is brought to you by our friends over at DraftKings. We've been building some mini parlays or 2/3 of the way parlays for you in episodes that we have dropped since the college football and NFL seasons have happened. Let's talk about Thursday Night Football. Here. Washington Commanders are traveling to Green Bay to take on the Packers. Packers favored by 3 in this one. Washington getting 3. I kind of like Jaden Daniels getting points. I'm not going to lie. I'm worried about the offensive line with the Commanders, but Jaden's special, man.
Yeah.
Him getting 3 points, kind of like it.
I have a very similar thought process to you here. I am liking an underdog, not the money line, but the points as well. On Sunday night, Michael Penix and the Falcons.
Yeah, baby.
5.5.
Yeah.
I get it. Like, the Vikings win was thrilling, and J.J. McCarthy dug himself out of the grave. But 5.5 points, and you mentioned this on the What Matters Most, the Falcons finally generated pressure week one. So if you're worried about their defense, maybe they'll actually be able to generate some pressure now, especially with James Pierce. But I just believe in, like, think of the spread, 5.5. You're telling me that Penix and the Falcons offense isn't going to hang around against the Vikings?
It's I
that's
like
all.
it.
Yeah, I like them getting that many points. I'll say that. I can see it closing a little tighter.
Especially because Michael Penix played so well against pressure last week against Tampa.
Yeah,
and
Flores is going to. Flores
And
is a brutal test for anyone, but I don't think it's not like the Falcons'
Penix
offense
played
will
well.
Right.
He played well under pressure. So interesting. Anyways, those are a couple of games that we got our eye on. And, you know, if you're talking about a 3-leg parlay, you get a couple of games in there. You're 2/3 of the way there. Don't let one bad leg hurt your parlays this season. Parlays turn to payouts, and now even near misses won't haunt your bet. The NFL season's here, and DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL, is rewriting the rules with Ghost Leg, a new game-changing promotion that turns close calls into cold, hard cash. Best of all, it's available to all DraftKings customers. Here's how it works. You build any 3+ leg pregame NFL parlay on Sunday, apply your Ghost Leg token, and if one leg loses, DraftKings makes it vanish. Poof, there you go, like it never happened. And it pays you out in cash for the rest. Last season, over 30 million payouts were lost by a single leg. This year, Ghost Leg gives those busted bets a second life. No more busted parlays that'll haunt you all season. With Ghost Leg, bad legs vanish, the payout doesn't. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app, use the promo code PFF, that's promo code PFF, to unlock Ghost Leg, the promotion that makes one bad leg disappear and pays you out in real cash. Ghost your losses, get your payout in partnership with DraftKings Sportsbook. The crown is yours. If you've got a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or just text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problems with gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly on behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas. Fees may apply in Illinois. 21 plus age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Opt-in for single-use token. Minimum 3+ legs and minus 500 odds per leg. Max bet varies. If only one leg of the bet loses, bets will settle as if only the winning legs were placed, and pays out in cash based on odds when the bet was placed. See terms at sportsbook.draftkings.com/promos. It's time to take a look at the stock market. Look at some players, some stock up, some stock down. Like I said, it's early in the season, so we're mainly focusing on some stock up, fellas. Who are we talking about first?
Man, this is an exciting one to me because I really liked this guy before he had a brutal injury last year. Skyler Bell, wide receiver out of UConn.
All right.
Skyler Bell was one of the stories of the weekend, even in a loss, where he just kind of willed this UConn team to take this Syracuse team to overtime. He had a catch that is going to be one of the catches of the year. 30 seconds left in the game. UConn's got to have a chunk play. They're in their own territory. The clock's running. It's 4th and 10. Literally 4th and 10. They're at 25. And the quarterback throws a ball to the 50 to Skyler Bell, who makes a one-handed catch essentially in between two defenders. Literally, there's a defender trailing him, and there's a safety coming up to play him, and he throws his arm up there and makes a one-handed catch. It's not just this one-handed catch, but to me, it's the one-handed catch that now puts him on the map for everybody because it was in such a big moment. But this guy can really play. When you watch the tape before this season, he's a 6-foot wide receiver from the Bronx, New York guy, so a little bias here. But he, in this game alone, had 11 catches for over 100 yards.
Yeah.
He's just got ball skills, man, and I think he's a good route runner. And he's somebody to me that I don't know the background here, but if a Power 4 program didn't go hard after him in the offseason, like, that was a mistake. He's just got the talent to play at a much higher level, and now he's a small school guy being at UConn in terms of the level of their football program, but this is somebody that is on the NFL draft radar, and if he gets into an all-star game environment, I think he would thrive because he's a senior. So you could see him at the Shrine or the Senior Bowl or whatever it may be, but Skyler Bell is an insanely underrated prospect because I think he does the little things well, but he's just a quarterback's helper. It's the tracking, it's the hands, it's the ball skill. I've seen him win at 3 levels. I've seen him take a screen, make somebody miss, and get upfield with good speed. He's dangerous after the catch. So, yeah, this is a player that I really, really like, and I'm really happy to see him healthy.
He is both on the Shrine Bowl watch list and the Senior Bowl watch list. So he is on both of those lists for a all-star invite that we could have when draft season rolls around in January. You know what I really liked about him as well? I'm glad that you added him here, not just because he had that fantastic catch in a big moment of the game, but you look even deeper. He's a very versatile player. He played 26 snaps in this game against Syracuse. He had 26 snaps out wide. So 53 or 55.3% of his snaps were as an out wide wide receiver, and then 19 snaps in the slot. So then another 40.4. So this dude was very versatile in where he lined up, and the rest is, like inline backfield, stuff like that. So he was not evenly split, but close. I mean, that's a lot of versatile experience playing on the outside versus playing in the slot. And then run blocking. Did you see his run blocking grade?
Dude, yes.
71.5. And what is he listed at? Isn't he listed at like
185?
185. He's got a 71.5 run blocking grade. That's fantastic.
He's a physical blocker, and he's physical with the ball in his hands after the catch. And the things I was referencing last year where, I think he had an ankle and maybe one other thing that he played through a couple things, but yeah, this is an NFL player, man. Like physicality in terms of refinement, and I believe he's now a 5th-year college player, so he's played a lot of college football. He's had good production for 4 years in a row now, or this will be the 4th year in a row.
Yeah, he was at Wisconsin, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was at Wisconsin very early in his career.
Yeah.
This is somebody that everybody should know and get familiar with because I think his name it'll blow up a little bit during the process.
There we go. Okay, speaking of another new name, I'm going to talk about Vincent Anthony Jr., the edge rusher from Duke. And it was a great game between Illinois and Duke. Obviously, we already talked about Luke Altmyer, the quarterback for Illinois. It was a fun game where they ended up kind of running away with it at the end. But that first half was tight. And one of the reasons why is because of Vincent Anthony Jr., the edge rusher that Duke has there. And okay, he's a true senior. He's 6'6", 260 pounds. And I believe that he is a legit 6'6". And the reason why is because of the arm length. When I'm watching this guy and his tape, I got to think he's at least 80th percentile when it comes to arm length and wingspan, because he loved to win with that long arm. When he was bull rushing, he was getting full extent. He was giving J.C. Davis, their veteran offensive tackle, all sorts of fits with that length that he has in his arms and creating that separation between him and the offensive lineman. I mean, Davis could barely get his hands on him to try to lock him up and to try to get in front of him and stay in front of him. So I think that the measurables are legit for this guy. Against Illinois specifically, 76.5 defensive grade, 79.0 pass rush grade, 63.1 run defense grade, 18.2 pass rush win percentage. I think that he's also got a decent. I mean, there was one rep. I think he was going up against Davis where he gave some legit bend and speed up the yard. He dipped in the shoulder, bending around,
big test.
And he's 6'6", 260.
Right.
So, look, he was rushing, if I'm remembering that rep correctly, he was rushing from more of a wide alignment, so it's a little bit easier to sort of dip the shoulder around the outside, especially when you're more athletic and you're just getting even with the guy's outside shoulder to get to the quarterback. But still, he was able to do it with his length, and what I really want to see from him is I want to see him play a little bit stronger. His run defense grades have been lower than his pass rush grades, and there are times when if offensive linemen do get their hands on him, you could tell that it's more difficult for him to either anchor or get off the block. When he wins clean, boy, does it look good. But if he could play a little bit stronger, I legit think that we've got a really nice 4-3 defensive end or somebody who has that length to be able to play as a 3-4 defensive end as well. Now, if he's going to play as an odd front defensive end, he's probably going to have to put on like 20 pounds, but you'll get stronger certainly if he's playing closer to 275, 280. But if he wants to stay sort of the way that he is right now, the pass rush stuff is really nice for him. Let's just get a little bit stronger. So I think that he showed me some NFL flashes. I think that this is, like, I'm going to put him on the big board at some point. Like, This is absolutely a mid-round type of a guy for me, like a third, fourth round. I don't know exactly where I'm going to have him in the rankings, but like this is a mid-round type of NFL guy from what we have seen from these first couple of weeks. So Vincent Anthony Jr. from Duke really stood out to me this past weekend.
His build and just looking at him, it's like, man, were you supposed to be on the basketball team? Like,
yeah, I haven't done the background information for him, but if he didn't play basketball in high school, then the basketball coach in high school of wherever he went messed up big time.
Man, that's a good shout out. Duke, well, once again, Duke has talent. We talked about their secondary a little bit during summer scouting. That's why this felt like a big game and a test for Illinois. All right, so my next one here is, I mean, technically kind of another new name. I feel like, did you bring up Jamari Taylor at all during summer scouting?
No, I did not, but I'm so glad that you're talking about him because I starting the college football watch. It's noon. It's like 12:15, right? The games have barely started. And they're like, all right, let's go around the country and take a look at what's going on. And here's this running back from Virginia bowling over 8 people and running to the end zone. I'm like, who is this? I immediately looked up who it was and wrote him down for my watch list. So I'm glad that you're talking about
That's what happened to me. Jamari Taylor, now at Virginia. He is a bowling ball running back is a really nice way to describe it, Trevor. He was must-see TV this week. He's a transfer from NC Central, so he's gotten to transfer up and, kind of take on a bigger spotlight in a losing effort against NC State, and none of it his fault. He's basically the main reason they were in this game. They lost 35-31. He had 17 carries for 150 yards and 3 touchdowns. He had a 66-yard run. He also added 2 catches in this game. He didn't fumble. But what stood out to me is what you said. He forced 11 missed tackles this week.
Crazy.
In this game.
Crazy.
He has got this compact build with so much strength. And when he drives through the line of scrimmage, it's so hard for the first defender to tackle him. He's creative. He's strong. Once again, that fire hydrant kind of build allows him to, like, defenders bounce off of this guy all the time. I, once again, love that creativity. The footwork is really, really good. This dude's a force right now, or at least in that game, he certainly looked like a force. I put him right in my running back sheet right away, and it was like, something that you and I especially always value so much is how many extra yards can you create on your own?
Yes.
And missed tackles force is a really good indicator of that, especially the carryover it has to the NFL level. And to have 11 against NC State, and you watch the runs, Trevor, it felt like once they figured out, like, this guy's been a problem for us, we're going to sell out to stop him. It barely even mattered. Mm-hmm. There was times where he was hitting the backfield immediately, and he just shook it off and kept plowing forward. And it was funny, on the 66-yarder, I believe, one of the long runs, I was like, all right, after he breaks these tackles here, like, he's going to get caught from behind. He's going to either run out of gas, or with that much muscle on his body, he doesn't necessarily have the breakaway speed. He chugged along and got away.
Yeah.
The speed was better than I thought. No, he didn't look slow.
He looked slow.
He didn't look slow. He has a build and a play style where you're like, yeah, he's probably not going to break too many long runs, and he was able to. So Jamari Taylor, the running back now at Virginia, is somebody that I'll be keeping an eye on the rest of the year because, man, it's another one that can go through the all-star circuit because of his eligibility and where his status is in terms of class. But yeah, just somebody that runs so hard, like every carry is his last.
He looked awesome. He really did. I'm glad that you shouted him out there. I'm gonna shout out Jake Golday, the linebacker from Cincinnati. This is somebody who I saw some people talking about over the last couple of weeks through 2 games. Okay, this Cincinnati's linebacker. He's a redshirt senior, listed at 6'4", 240, so can host the pod. Very, very important, of course, in case we ever needed a backup.
That's our best metric in terms of success rate. If they can host the pod,
it really
they
is.
have a higher chance of being a good NFL player.
No doubt about it. 72.7 overall defensive grade, 84.4 run defense grade, 65.1 coverage grade. Really high effort player. Somebody who can mix. Over the last 2 games, I watched them mix up how much he was an off-ball linebacker versus an on-ball linebacker. When he was an on-ball linebacker, of course, he wasn't necessarily doing like the 4-3 defensive end 5 technique stuff. He's much more of a wide outside linebacker, 2-point stance rusher, but they would put him in positions to really blitz from sort of that apex or nickel defender position. and he's able to close in on the quarterback very, very quickly. He's got some pretty long arms, specifically this second game of the season against Bowling Green. I mean, he's playing like a madman. I love the effort that he plays with. I love the pride that he has when taking on pullers. He is very much a guy who understands I've got to do the dirty work for my team to succeed. And there were a couple of times specifically in that Bowling Green game where I'm watching, pulling linemen or climbing offensive linemen, getting to his level. He is popping them straight up at contact and then even getting in on the tackle as the ball carrier is coming to him and not just, taking the block and letting somebody else handle it. He's getting in on it too, and he's shedding that block. So as a run defender, somebody that I really like, he's also, if you go to his profile at Cincinnati, phenomenal chin-neck ratio for a linebacker, which you talk about, a stable metric of can you host the pod being a good football player. This guy is just like, he's every single time that, you're taking a picture nowadays and you gotta flex the trap a little bit. You got to get the back of the neck out. Like that is that he took this picture and he was just like, yep. Starting linebacker, whatever.
Yeah.
Who's the dude in the program? Seat at the table, like whatever,
yes.
That's the inspiration here.
The picture is I'm repping out 405 of shrug, like 20 reps of shrugs.
Oh yes.
Loading it up.
He purposely scheduled shoulder day right before the picture. So he's probably like, I think he's wearing, if I remember correctly, I think they're wearing like suit and ties for the picture. So he's probably got Gym Shark gym shorts underneath, below,
not the Gymshark,
the suit and tie, because this guy just came from shrugging 405 15 times right before he. Hey, you know what? The pump's important. Look,
pump is everything.
Look, I mean, I had to get a quick little pump in before the wedding, I had to make sure, we're getting a little arm pump in before the wedding. You got to look full in the wedding suit, because these are pictures that you're going to have forever. You better believe we're getting a quick little pump in there.
I at least get 30 push-ups before pictures.
That's what you got to do.
Yeah,
you got to
come on now.
See, you got to makeshift the room that you're staying in, where you take the love seat and you put your feet on the little coffee table to give you a little dip so the triceps popping a little bit.
Take the Bible out of the drawer, put it on your legs as a weight. That's really what God intended for it to be used for. Muscle, absolute maximum strength. You go down to the front desk. Hey, you got 20 more Bibles for me?
Hey, you guys got Bibles?
They're not going to say no.
I'm trying to lead people to the Lord here.
Oh man, the hotel tricks you and I have at this point. We could write a book on it for the Addicts.
Yeah. Okay, who's the last guy? Who's the stock-up guy?
All right, one more here, and this is not a new name. The first name out of mine that is not a new name, because we liked him over the summer. It's Gabe Jacas.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, the J is silent.
The J is silent.
Gabe Jacas, the edge defender from Illinois. Man, we really got our money's worth from this Duke-Illinois game. I just realized.
Oh, yeah, we did.
We talked Altmyer.
3 players.
You talked Vincent Anthony. I do want to talk really just through the first 2 weeks, though, with Jacas, because that's what stood out to me. And listen, beating up on Western Illinois week 1, whatever, it's more of how you did it. Starting with that, I've seen a guy that is more confident and powerful against the run this year, whether it's taking on pullers, understanding how to diagnose a run play, and gain leverage and stack and shed at the right time. And then as a pass rusher, even when you look at the matchup against Duke, he had a 69.1 pass rush grade in our system. But what mattered to me, Trevor, is he had a sack and a hurry. So it's like, okay, you only had an 11% win rate. Well, let's watch them. They're both on third downs that were key plays for the team. The one, first off, the hurry was on a 3rd and 7. I believe he gets doubled. He gets like chipped by a tight end, and then he has to work off the tackle. And his ability to, and this is a bigger guy too, right? He's like a real 270 pounds. His ability to turn his body and chase the quarterback to get out of bounds. And then on the sack, it was more of an effort win. But what I loved is when he's chasing the quarterback from behind on the effort win, he punches the ball out as well on another 3rd down. So Jacas, to me, I think his technique against the run has gotten better. I think his play strength on that 270-pound frame has gotten better. And then I think he's coming up with pass rush wins when the team needs it most. And he's the guy at that weight. He could play standing up or with his hand in the dirt. And it's not like he's 240 and he could play with his hand in the dirt. We think at the NFL we'll see what he could do. No, this is a 270-pound player that he could truly play with his hand in the dirt, but he looks athletic standing up. So I think it's been a really strong first 2 weeks for Gabe Jacas, who had a monster freshman season, a down sophomore season, and now you look at him a couple years later, it feels like the green light is on as a complete player.
You know, he is one of those guys that I can't wait to sort of like go do a final scouting report on.
Like, what are you now?
Yeah, because we get the full picture, really, and where we think the NFL is going to draft him, because you're right. I think he can play anything. I think he could play a 3-4 defensive end. Heck, I think he could throw on a ton of extra weight and maybe even play as an interior like 3 technique guy. I know he didn't have the background for it, but he could play a 5 technique defensive end. He plays as an outside linebacker, which I still think is hilarious for Illinois, but he does so with a really quick first step, really good effort, and all that's there for him, man. So he is somebody who I can't wait to get to that final eval to say, like, okay, this is where I see him playing in the NFL. My last guy that I'm bringing up, it's a familiar name, so we're both saving some familiar names for the end here. My boy Makai Lemon. Now, this is not necessarily a stock up for me because I can't go higher than wide receiver 1. But for everybody else out there, if anybody was like kind of on the fence about Makai Lemon, you have to love what you've seen early on from him and USC. Jacoby Lane as well was fantastic for them this past week, had a insane one-handed touchdown catch, but Lemon through 2 games this season for USC, 89.9 receiving grade, picking up right where he left off last season, 248 receiving yards. That's 3rd most in the FBS. He's got 2 touchdowns, and he has 151 yards after the catch, which you love to see about a player like that. It's doing the same things that he did last year. Quick separation, yards after catch. I mean, he is a playmaker through and through. These 2 touchdowns this past week really showed that. I was a huge Makai Lemon fan just because of the movement skills, the potential that he had as a route runner, how he creates that separation, how he gives you that ability for yards after catch. He doesn't have a contested catch opportunity this year, but even in those contested catches last year, I think he had a pretty good percentage at doing it. And to be honest with you, him not having any contested catches this year is actually a positive.
Right, I know what you're saying.
Because he's just creating the throwing windows. He's finding the soft spots in the zone. He's creating that separation against defenders. And so that in and of itself, I think, is a boost to his statistics and to his scouting report. So I was a huge Makai Lemon fan coming into the season, and through 2 games, he's been fantastic. He really has.
That's a good call out. I did get to see his film this week because he really popped once again by a lot of metrics. And it's just smooth operator, you know, somebody that just knows how to work in space, find space, finish plays. So I think that's a really good take. The contested catch metric is amazing because sometimes you look at it and you're like, oh, this guy was a monster. But then you look at it and sometimes you go, okay, do you have to live by that all the time? And it's good living if you just are, you don't have to. You find a way to break away from people.
Yeah, and like I said, his teammate Jacoby Lane also had a really good game this past weekend, so wanted to shout him out too. I know a lot of people were very high on him as well. Before we get to the new names and some names that you guys are shouting out, talking to all the parents out there, parenting. It's filled with all sorts of high-pressure decisions. It can be difficult to tell if we've made the right choices for our kids' future, but here's a simple decision that you can make today that could have a meaningful impact on your kids' future. It's opening up a UGMA Kids Investment Account with Fabric to start their investment journey early and give them a financial head start. Fabric by Gerber Life was designed by parents for parents to make it easy to plan for and manage your family's financial path. With a kids investment account for Fabric, you can start investing in your child's future today. The funds that you invest, they can be used for anything. When they're kids, maybe it's tuition, it's books, it's summer camps, it's music classes, things like that. And then when they're a little bit older, when they're adults, maybe you're helping them buy their first car, their first house, start a business, whatever it is. It's all online. Setting up an account could take you as little as just 5 minutes. Start investing with as little as $1 a day, and then just manage your child's account and monitor those investments right from your phone. Join the thousands of parents who trust Fabric to help protect their family. Start investing in your child's future today at meetfabric.com/stock-exchange. That's meetfabric.com/stock-exchange. MEET fabric.com/stock-exchange. The portfolios are managed by Fort Washington Investment Advisors Incorporated. Additional services provided by Apex Clearing Corporation. All investing is subject to risk. You can learn more at meetfabric.com. All right, new name to the program. Who we Who we shouting out here, Connor?
How about this one? Kevin Coleman Jr., the transfer wide receiver now at Missouri.
Somebody had to do it.
Have a day against Kansas, my friend.
Yeah.
10 catches, 126 yards, and a touchdown. This is a true senior, 5'11", 180. 63 of those yards were after the catch. Kind of a slot demon for this team. Didn't have any drops. This is a well-traveled young man, Trevor. I know we've made jokes before about guys that have this kind of transfer record. Kevin Coleman Jr., Jackson State, 3 years ago. Louisville, 2 years ago. Mississippi State, a year ago. Missouri, today. 4 schools in 4 years. But I feel like this is the one, my friend.
Was he at Jackson State with Deion?
That would line up, wouldn't it? 2022?
Right? Is that why he went to Jackson State?
That would make a lot of sense.
Let's see. You keep going. I'll look this up.
So this is someone to me that, first off, this isn't a random breakout. For Mississippi State last year, he had 74 catches for over 900 yards and 6 touchdowns. But now you watch him at Missouri and the connection he has in that offense with the quarterback. Watching this game against Kansas, it felt like watching a clone of Zay Flowers. I mean, the burst into his routes off the line of scrimmage, the seamless transition from catch the ball to runner, the shake and wiggle in the open field. And it's not over-exaggerated where he does this stop and go and then he gets tackled by the second guy. He can make somebody miss so cleanly in a phone booth and then re-accelerate at such an alarming level that that's going to lead to the explosive plays. So Kevin Coleman Jr. to me, total eye test guy where you watch one play this year at Missouri and you're like, who is that? And where have you been? And I think he's going to have a mammoth year. Yes, I don't typically like smaller receivers, but if you are this smooth as a separator and then your transitions from pass catcher to open field runner, obviously there's a place in the league for you because we've seen the guys that can consistently do that find a role. He's probably a slot only guy, but man, is he a demon out of the slot.
Yeah, 90, what was it? Let me see. 91.9% of his snaps in this past game came in the slot. So he is a slot guy. There's no doubt about it.
Two-way go, free release.
But I mean, they are copy and pasting all of the Luther Burden plays for him.
Yes.
I mean, he is Luther Burden, which by the way, yes, that 2022 season was the last season that Deion was the head coach at Jackson State. And Kevin Coleman Jr. was actually a top 75 prospect. He was a 4-star. So like this was the Deion effect where you would have a different, a different history plays out and Deion's not at Jackson State. He's probably not even considering him, right? He's probably considering an SEC or one of the top Big Ten schools or whatever. And obviously he ends up in the SEC this year and he's showcasing what he's got. That's the talent level that we're talking about with him. So I agree. He was fantastic this past weekend, which was great to see.
Yeah, I think that it's one of these guys where you're like, all right, what's the story here? And then great digging by you. Like, no, this is someone that is immensely talented, and it feels like he found the right home.
Yeah, he was trying to follow Deion, honestly, and can't blame him. Deion's done pretty well with prospects over the last 3 or 4 years, so definitely can't blame you there. Okay, this is one that we got a lot of requests for, I think 2 weeks ago, and it's about time that we shout him out. Arvell Reese, the linebacker from Ohio State, the guy who's playing next to Sonny Styles now this year. He's a true junior. He's 6'4", 234 pounds. 76.4 defensive grade through 2 games, 76.4 run defense grade, 80.4 pass rushing grade. He had 5 pressures and a 23.1% pass rush win percentage against Texas. He has played 44 snaps as a edge defender, as an on-ball, off-ball, or outside linebacker, and then 46 snaps as an off-ball linebacker. So 44 on-ball, 46 off-ball. He is a true hybrid right now. And the previous season, last year, when he got on the field, it was mainly either special teams or as that third Sam linebacker to sort of be more towards the line of scrimmage, be a little bit more heavy-handed when they would go to base for him. And this year, they're being a little bit more creative with him because he is part of their 2 linebacker set. He's part of their nickel linebacker set with Sonny Styles, and obviously when Caleb Downs kind of comes and plays at the second level as well. But then against Texas, especially in the second half, they played him a lot as just a straight up edge rusher. And he was able to have a lot of really clean wins. He's somebody who I think is certainly, now I don't exactly know where to place him right now. In my sheet, I still have him as a Sam linebacker.
Yeah, that's where I'm working too.
Because he has to, like, if he's going to play as a full-time on-ball linebacker, he's probably going to have to gain weight. So in his current form, if this is the way that he wants to play, the size, the athleticism, specifically, I love the tackling strength. Like, he's got pound for pound, he's got really good strength to him. He reminded me of Leonard Floyd. You know how Leonard Floyd sort of plays that on-ball, off-ball, fluid linebacker role? He reminded me a lot of that, of just the long arms, how he has been deployed throughout his NFL career, how he was deployed when he was at Georgia. Very much that sort of a player. So pound for pound, I think that he's really strong, even though he's hovering around 240. I think he's got good length with his arms that are really powerful when they pop the offensive tackles. And so, you know, we're really just starting to see him as a true junior play in that full-time role. So this is somebody that we will absolutely have to revisit. But just watching him for what he is right now, the bones of who he is as a prospect, I'm like, okay, this is probably a 4th-round pick at worst, like right now, the type of player that you're taking a chance on. So somewhere in those mid-rounds, 3rd, 4th round is where I'd say he'd be right now, but certainly is a player that I think has the ability to really take a step up and climb the rankings this year if he ends up declaring.
Great call out. I thought he stood out from the get-go, right, against Texas. Right away, you were like, oh, Arvell Reese is out here making plays, and he's reading things well, and the play strength that you brought up as a tackler was definitely a difference maker. And good Lord, Ohio State. I mean, to have, like you said, on any given look, you can have him, Styles, and Caleb Downs in the box. It just makes life so hard to generate the run game against them.
Yep, that it does. All right, let's round the show out like we did last week. Taking a look at some shout-outs from you guys, the Addict. Tyler Browning, good fan of the show. He said Damone Claiborne from Wake Forest. He said it's no lower tier opponent, but he looked really good, showcased a ton of speed this past weekend. I know a lot of people really liked him in summer scouting, so it's good to see him stand out. TJ wanted us to shout out Jake Golday from Cincinnati. Obviously, we have already done that. J-Wack is saying Sawyer Robertson.
We talked a lot of Sawyer over summer.
Yeah, a little bit of a loose cannon still, but man, can this dude sling it.
Sawyer Robertson, big guy, pretty big arm to match as well. I like his mentality. I don't know. We'll see how the final product looks when we get to quarterbacks, but I'll kind of pull up once again what I saw this summer was just that was somebody that wasn't afraid of taking the tight, like trying to make the tight window throw through traffic. He's really not. He's got velocity when he has to like move off his platform as well. He doesn't lose arm strength. But, you know, there's times where he's going to chuck it relentlessly, and, that can get him into trouble. But good call out for Sawyer Robertson, who, he's on the map. He's been on the map. I had him QB 10 during summer scouting, but, I had him against big names. I had him above Sam Levitt, Carson Beck, Darian Mensah, Rocco Beck. I see the raw talent.
Another one that we're getting a shout out for is Omega Blake, who is the wide receiver at Arkansas, having a really good start to the year. He's leading the team. He's got 217 receiving yards already through 2 games. So when I watched a little bit of him, now it's a little bit, so I haven't done like a full, even like a study for an episode on him, but he's got like the slender, like leggy, like long arm, long legs type of build where he can threaten you vertically that way. They're using him on all sorts of like drag and mesh concepts to get him open for yards after catch opportunities.
That's what they did last year with Armstrong and Tesla at times.
They did, but
not as much with Tesla. With Armstrong, they were good at that.
They were. I think he's playing more of the Armstrong role than the Tesla role. But they got a big game against, I believe they play Ole Miss this upcoming week, and so that'll be an interesting test to see if Arkansas could continue to play really well on the offensive side of things. But Omega Blake is somebody who is playing well this year, and that's a good shout out there. Let's see. Sean is saying Washington left tackle Carver Willis, a Kansas State transfer, seems to be rating well for PFF. We've got a shout out for the real QB1, Dante Moore, who is at Oregon. I watched a little bit of Dante Moore. Not very stiff competition that, all due respect to Oklahoma State, that Oregon has played so far. And I watched,
they clown them.
Dante Moore, he looks good. He's got a great NFL caliber arm, but just the timing of everything still wasn't there. He really just hasn't been pressured a lot.
He's got to play. He's got to
play against better opponents. Trevor J. CFB is saying your stock watch consideration, the heartbreaker, Clev Lubin for Louisville. I hope.
Were you trolled?
Was I trolled?
Clev Lubin, the heartbreaker.
Is this? Am I getting trolled here?
No, I'm sure you're not. But
okay. I thought I was missing a reference where I was actually getting trolled.
No, this is actually a person.
Can we confirm?
Louisville defensive lineman that I will now be watching. This young fella already has 3.5 sacks on the season. Nice shout out.
Yeah, that's what he's saying. The heartbreaker's right there.
Yeah, he has taken the souls of the illustrious powerhouses known as Eastern Kentucky and JMU.
Hey, you can only play
Clev Lubin.
Who's right in front of you.
He's from New York. Nice. I'm in.
All right, now you're all in.
I'm all in. From New York.
Talking all that shit before. Saying we're getting trolled, name. Now he's your guy. Now you're buying a jersey.
I've never been more in.
Alex, shouting out Cassius Howell. We shouted out Cassius Howell last week.
This podcast,
phenomenal.
If Cassius Howell doesn't hit, this podcast loses all of its shares on the stock market. So, yes, Cassius Howell, good player. Big matchup against the Fighting Irish. That's going to be one of the games of the weekend on NBC.
Shout out NBC. He's also shouting Emmanuel McNeil Warren from Toledo, who has played really well to start the season. Their safety, Austin Romaine, the linebacker from Kansas State.
Yeah.
He also said Kevin Coleman Jr., who you shouted out there.
Oh,
look, a couple of stock down. Sam Leavitt, I think, obviously struggled against Mississippi State. Struggling throwing the football, and that's what it's going to be all about, right? You had a low turnover-worthy play last year, but you really, or turnover-worthy play rate, I should say, last year, but you really weren't asked to win a lot with your arm. This year, they were going to ask him to win a lot more with his arm, and I think it was a tough test for him against Mississippi State. I think he certainly has a talent level to bounce back. I love who he is as a dual-threat quarterback, but that was a tough lesson for him there. Max Clare also, I agree, stock down and disappointed. Dude, it was tough for him against Texas. I was like, all right, maybe he just didn't get the football. Texas is a really good defense. I don't know if you caught this, but, bro, he had one catch for 7 yards. He had scrambling. Ohio State had 70 points. Ohio State had 70 points, and Max Clare caught one ball for 7 yards. Now, I'm sure he didn't play most of the game in the second half.
Sure, but here's the thing. They're still 34-point favorites against Ohio on Saturday night. By the way, a pesky Ohio team. That's not a team that I'm not saying.
Who's your quarterback?
Ohio?
Yeah.
They have a good quarterback, and this is the second time I've been asked this in the last day, and I forgot again. I got you right now.
Okay. It's somebody notable.
Parker Navarro.
Parker Navarro, yes.
Yeah, he's officially grad status. But yeah, Parker Navarro. Ohio gets rated in the portal every year when they build a team, which is tough life for programs like that. But yeah, so maybe they get Claire going in the first half of that game.
Dude, we got another submission here for Clev Lubin, the Heartbreaker.
This is a nickname that will stick.
Yes.
Clev Lubin.
Lubin, yeah. Or Lubin?
I just had the pronunciation up. Hold on.
Lubin? I don't know.
It is Lubin.
Lubin, there you go.
Yeah.
There you go. Okay. Clev Lubin. We got to make sure that we get the name right if we're going to get the name right, the nickname right, the Heartbreaker. All right, there we go. There's a handful. We love when you guys get in the show. We love the shout-outs from everybody. If you have some more that we didn't get to here on this show, of course, in the comment section, the best way to do that, youtube.com/@NFL Stock Exchange. You can follow the show on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, @NFLSE Show. If you want to follow us, @Tampa Bay Trey, @Connor J. Rogers. That is the best way to do that. That is it for us this week. But of course, we will be back with you on Monday. Shout out to everybody who watched the What Matters Most and also commented and said, hey, we love this. We love that you guys are just coming on, talking some ball, because that honestly, y'all's feedback helps, because we've said this all the time. This podcast is of the people. What you guys want us to talk about, we are going to try to always talk about. So it was nice to hear the feedback from you guys to say, hey, we love the NFL dedicated show. We loved hearing these, again, these more concise sort of what matters most for every team kind of a thing. Obviously, we'll still do the Fix Your Franchise series and all that great stuff. But anytime that you have opinions on the show, the little things that we should do, and even especially things that we're doing that you like, if you like that, let us know, and we will make sure that we do more of it. So shout out to everybody who watched on Monday. We'll be back with you with the same format again. Connor, anything else before we get out of here?
I think you perfectly said it. Trevor and I are always trying to figure out what you guys care about the most, what you want to listen to the most. We know what this podcast is built on. Summer scouting is very cut and dried for us. We laid the foundation. We appreciate everybody that sticks with us throughout the summer. We go into the season, we're always going to talk about college players like we did today on the rise, some guys that had a tough game, projections from NFL teams. Obviously, the NFL calendar leading up to the draft after the Super Bowl speaks for itself. When we go to the Combine, we'll be at the Senior Bowl before the Super Bowl. All the mock drafts and the collabs and everything we do. But during the NFL season, when we do a second show, there was room for something. And I think it's really cool that there's so much content, Trevor, in the NFL world that we, like, at times we're almost hesitant of, like, where is our place in the NFL world, not NFL draft world, which is very, very different. And the balance of talking rookies, but also talking about the rosters and team building at large. Thank you to everybody that's embraced that and is really enjoying it.
Shout out to all the addicts out there. Appreciate you guys. Love you guys. For Connor Rogers, I'm Trevor Sikkema saying thank you so much for watching the NFL Stock Exchange Show. See you guys on Monday.